The Space Fortress Sullivan.
Alright, let's skip this. Folks, this is just going to be a small bonus video here. I'm just going to fly through all these menus. There's no point in seeing them again. This is to show another one of the alternate routes that exists in the third mission for white base mode. That would be the attack on Sullivan. Now, there are 3 possible routes in total for this mission. You can only, at max, hit 2 of them. But with this route here specifically, you can only use this route. You will completely bypass the other 2 entirely for it. So I'm just going to show this off.
Let's do it.
It was also an incredibly difficult route to S rank for anyone who's familiar with it.
Remember, it's Sullivan. Be cautious in your attacks.
For the most part,
let's get this thing started.
You can actually start this route going in the right direction right off the bat here when you first gain control of the mobile suit. And when you have to defend the 2 Solomons up here.
Beam interference field deployed.
All ships prepare for missile
Now I'm going to do something a little unorthodox. I'm going to start shooting at my own ships. Although I tend to do that by accident all the time. There's method behind my madness, I swear.
Fire!
So you can take on these mobile suits as much as you want. It's up to you. I don't bother calling for support because really they're not even difficult without or when trying to just keep the Solomons alive. Be cautious not to kill off, I think it's 12 mobile suits in total. After 12 mobile suits and both Solomons are alive, you will continue on to the next portion. However, you will be locked into one of 2 other routes. And the third route, which you will want to get here, will be forever locked. I'm just going to go ahead and end up destroying one of the Solomons just to make sure the process is expedited, because can't rely on the goddamn Xeon CPU characters to do anything for me, it seems. Although that Zaku 2 is definitely giving it his all there. And there goes the second Solomons. This is exactly what we want. There is really no penalty for this, so don't worry, it's not game over. Now, I can't say the same if this was the first time you've played through this mission, because, well, the routes aren't unlocked at that point, so you probably want to try and keep one of the Solomons alive at least. Actually, you know what? Take that back. It should still work in this way. It's just that you won't be able to discover the entire thing. The third route is unique, and then it actually has quite a few segments that can vary. I'm going to show probably the rarer pathway for it.
There!
So once both Solomons are gone, just destroy the mobile suits in your leisure, and eventually you will get a nice little cutscene.
New weapon?
5, 4, 3.
And skip. Alright, so back on the surface of Sullivan. Just continue to destroy everything in the best way you want to.
I can't believe he got
I had my heart set on getting a decent rank on this thing, so I'm trying to destroy as much of Sullivan as I can. So far, though, up to this point, the route hasn't really varied from the other 2 that we've seen so far on footage. Now, those 2 other routes that I keep referring to, the first one is the normal version of which you will actually take on Big Zom, and the second one is where you take on Shin Matsunaga. Now, if you take Shin Matsunaga on,
Yes, sir.
you do still have the chance and opportunity to fight Big Zom at the end of that whole thing. That's why those 2 routes kind of coexist together. And you get that route by making sure that at least one of the Solomons is still alive and kicking at the end of that little guard mission. I hate this tunnel because even with the PlayStation 2 graphics, it's really dark and it's difficult to see the rocks, so I just happen to know where they're all at. And then here comes this dick platform here that I managed to get hit by.
I gotta hand it to myself, I'm pretty good.
Okay, here comes a quick little thing we need to do. In order to get this route, you have to make sure to kill that Rusai right there before you kill the Papua, or however the hell you pronounce that little turquoise ship down there. So don't even bother fighting it, just turn directly around and go right after that Rusai. Don't worry about it trying to take off. I'm pretty sure it just tries to circle around and shoot at you at one point. However, take out the engines if you feel otherwise. There's really not much in terms of mobile suit reinforcements. They tend to keep around the damn resupply ship here most of the time. Now, if you fail to destroy your ship within, I think it's either 2 minutes or 4 minutes, can't remember, you'll automatically go ahead and continue on in Route 2 mode. I don't think I've ever done that because it's not like the resistance to this ship is very difficult. However, I do try to spam some points here out of the entire encounter because you will get a couple of Rick Doms out of it. Eventually I just get fed up with it and destroy it. Now usually we would go up and above Sullivan in order to go engage Shin Matsunaga if we were going to take that route, but instead we're going to go through the normal way. Now if you're doing Route 1, or if you're doing this mission for the first time, you'll be going through here as usual. However, since this is replay mode, we have a couple of different versions we can do. Since we've destroyed the Musai in the previous little battlesphere, we get to take a variation in this route. And I pointed out when it happens. I recommend just not even moving too much for those corridors because you can still get hurt, I believe, by running into them. Lots of shit to blow up in this level and to run into, so if you're not used to it, take it cautiously and calmly. Lots of Zakus that like to pop out of the woodwork as well. Watch out for the doors, those do hurt. Lots of stuff to blow up. Good point buffer right here. So far, this is exactly how Route 1 to Big Zom would work. But we go directly up if we destroyed that Musai here. Make sure you take out these doors if you can. They're extra points. If not, oh well. Nice little view of shit getting blown up outside. Now this route here, specifically, this junction, only happens if you destroyed the Musai in the previous little battlesphere area. It's actually a neat little thing up here to actually do this. I know the first time I managed to discover this route, I kept thinking I was going to run straight into a bunch of these doors. Anyways, we get to fight this Zanzibar. Now this is another little route split here for this secret third route. Man, that's really dark on the Gundam there for lighting. Anyways, this Zanzibar is attempting to take off. You can either destroy it or let it take off, depending on what you want to do here. I'm going to try to destroy it. If you let it go for about 1 minute, it should take off or so, and it's going to have a constant stream of mobile suits come out of here. So if you're wanting to buffer your points, feel free to take out the mobile suits. But I do recommend taking out all the cannons and stuff that are on top of the Zanzibar. They're just buffered points, and they always work. Now, if you fail to destroy the Zanzibar, you're going to miss out on another little interesting cameo by somebody else, and that's why I wanted to show this off.
There!
At this point, I'm getting a little worried that it's going to be close to takeoff time, so I want to make sure this thing's good and dead. Take out the rest of the turrets and attempt to do anything else in terms of damage. But back to Route 2 mode we go. Since we did destroy the Zanzibar, we're going to have a nice little treat up here. Welcome to the main core of Baogu. Sullivan, that's the one. Take out everything. Extra points are always welcome in this game. There's plenty of shit to shoot at here. Try not to fly into the little girder beams here because they will hurt. But for the most part, the auto route just takes you through most of them anyways. There's really not much that will shoot at you at this level either, so it's a nice little reprieve from having constant things shooting. And anything that does try to shoot you is easily disposed of. Most of it's just stationary hardpoint turrets. Now, the thing that we're flying around in here is actually a gigantic nuclear reactor, and I'm assuming these are cooling towers and rods that we're taking out here. Try to get these before they actually go retract into the base of the reactor itself, otherwise you'll miss out on some easy little points there. And eventually we'll fly our way up to the top. This always reminds me of a very similar Armored Core mission. Take this thing apart and take out the turrets on the top of it. There's just plenty of stuff to shoot. The little protective hatches will go down with enough damage to them. They do have targeting points, so try to go for those. But your main objective here is to make sure you take out everything on the inside. And then finally, the little glowing, slightly glowing red thing, and the whole thing will go up in smoke. Lots of good points at this point. Take out these doors, you will fly into them if you do not. Massive damage there. Anyways, on to the next little portion. This also coincides with Route 1 going towards Big Zom, where we're going to fly into this little section here and have to deal with a Musai on the right. Now, I don't know if the Musai will actually launch or not. I don't think I've ever let it get that far into it, but there's a steady stream of mobile suits to take out, so you can pad your point score here pretty well. However, be aware that that Musai is going to be constantly shooting shit at you So take all of its guns away, all of its claws, basically, and just let it sit there. I, however, try to kill it outright. Some of these mobile suits are also en route to loading. They're a little bit of a bitch to freaking hit. Unless you're up close and close. Now, if you went through Route 1 originally, towards Big Zom, or if this is your first playthrough, you would end up going through a little bit of a supply room area, and then you come right out into this little docking bay. So now that the new site has been destroyed, take out your doors and continue on. You're going to go out to another little section here and start shooting the shit out of everything. Good points here, folks. Don't miss out on these. However, if you take the Shin Matsunaga route, you miss all of this entirely and you go from Shin straight to Big Zom. Now, this may look a little bit dark in terms of just light levels for it. That's exactly how it is in the game. I don't know why they have such a problem with keeping a competent light level for this, although it may be also an effect. I mean, obviously, if the sun isn't pointing at this section of the asteroid, there's not going to be much light.
You're done.
I really wish I had kept my shield through this little debacle, but I managed to lose it here.
You're too slow.
There's also a couple of things on the asteroid itself you can attack. I don't know what they count as. I think they're doors or hard point turrets, something like that. Take them out. They're always easy points.
You're done.
For the most part, you're not going to run into too much of an enemy offense that's competent. It's going to be mostly just Zaku-2s. Occasional Rick Dom maybe here and there, and I don't think there's actually any Gelgoons that I've seen here. At least on this side of the fortress, because everybody's on the other side trying to fuck up the Federation. Which, if you think about it, makes sense. There would be a very light reinforcement here. Oh, there's a Rick Dom. Another one. I used to be really good at dodging those Rick Dom shots, but I don't know why I just haven't reacquired that skill yet. Some of the Rick Dom weaponry that varies from the original bazooka shell makes it a lot easier to dodge, especially in space or very low light settings because of how they actually look. The solid missile type, however, is still a pain in the ass. Now, I don't know anything about a time limit here. I've never really looked into that before. But there may be one.
The enemy's surviving forces are making a break for it. They're heading for a Bawa coup. I want you and Sailor to help pursue them.
Roger.
Alright, this is a very special little route here. You only get this if you destroyed the Zanzibar that was trying to take off. If you don't, you're going to continue on a different route from this. However, we're going to see a cameo of another character in this.
There. Is that ship trying to escape?
Alright. Can't remember the name of that gigantic monstrosity of a battleship, but it has one.
It's the
But that's not our
Federation's
target.
white mobile suit. The one that's called a Gundam. Interesting.
Well, folks, say hello to Kelly Lasley. If you've seen 0083, you know exactly who Kelly is, and he's piloting a Bigelow.
There.
Kelly will have a couple of reinforcements here and there that'll keep spawning, but eventually they'll run out, just like with the normal Bigelow fight.
I won't lose.
The difference in this fight is that Sayla is actually here off the bat that you can use. And he's nowhere near as aggressive as the original Bigelow fight was. Now, that's not to say that his friends and allies aren't as aggressive, but all in all, it's kind of a fun fight, but this is also very difficult to ace through this mission route setting.
There.
He doesn't even bother trying to roll out of most of these shots, and he doesn't do that little dick move where he comes circling around you to just try and take out most of your health with melee attacks.
There.
Can you handle that? Don't tell me you're a new to
Not sure I'd want to be a mobile armored pilot during the one you wore. It just never seemed to really work too well. I especially don't want to be a mobile armored pilot for anything that has to do underwater. No, thank you. I'd rather be in space or on land.
Can you handle this blow? What are you doing?
You're done.
Speaking of original voice actors, I'm not sure if that is the original voice actor either. I know that Richard Epcar played Kelly Lasner in 0083. Now, the previous video for this, the credits did roll, so maybe I'll go back and take a look.
I only see a handful of mobile suits. A nightmare. This can't be happening. Ugh! The white mobile suit.
I'll deal with him myself.
That's right, we
This
get
is
to fight the
Sayla.
nightmare
I'm
of
falling
Sullivan
back.
himself when he gets the nickname in his custom Rick Dom. It also has a beam bazooka rather than the standard bazooka type for it. It is a very powerful weapon. However, because it is a beam type weapon and specifically the color, it makes it tremendously easy to dodge.
Make me your enemy. It's too late. Nice.
He also has a complement of two F-2 type Zaku 2s. One of them is actually his little butt compatriot from 0083. I think his name's Marine or something like that. I don't remember. Anyways, you can take all of them out, but I'd recommend focusing on those Zaku 2s a little more than Gato. Or Gato.
He must be if he's still alive.
He's nowhere near as aggressive as he was when you fight him with the Gelgook.
The shield's been destroyed.
And he doesn't hurt as much either. Now,
Can't fall back just yet, though.
this isn't the original voice actor for Gato. The original one was Richard Barnes. Oh no, excuse me, that was for Delaz. The original one for Anavel Gato was actually a guy named Kirk Thornton. Why do I remember Delaz's voice actor for whatever reason? Anyway, these shots, once you get rid of the Zaku 2s, these shots are extremely easy to dodge. I don't know why. Their color or something like that just makes it so much simpler to see them, I guess. And he never tries to really shoot straight at you.
Game over. This damages me.
I recommend doing this at a ranged fight, the complete opposite of what I would tell you to do for the Gato Gelgook custom version fight. And when he does try to come up in close combat, just dash away from him.
There.
Now, you should only have to get his health down to, I think, about 15 or 10%, and then he'll just go fuck off. You actually can't destroy him, and I'll show you here in a moment that I get his health to 0 and he's still kicking.
I'm almost out of energy.
Alright, he's fucking off to the other end there, but still get a couple shots off, and he has no health now, and he's still flying around. Go figure.
Lieutenant, we need to fall back.
You won this one. But I'll never forget this.
White mobile suit. He's retreating?
I might not have survived a longer fight with him.
Now with that, we actually get
There's
to
nothing we
completely
can do
skip
for Sullivan now.
the Big
We
Zom
best move
fight
ahead
and the
to
Shin
Texas
Matsunaga
Colony and
fight.
resume the fight there.
Both sides had suffered
So it's
great
kinda helpful.
losses when the Battle of Sullivan was finally over. Dozel Zabi was killed in action, while the White Base lost the respected Lieutenant Slager Law.
Although in this variation, it doesn't really explain how Slager gets killed. It's not like he was there with us to crash into Big Zom, but you never know. That is the end of that. I only managed to B rank it. It's still a very difficult route to take. And I know people can argue that there are more than 3 routes, but I see a route as going towards an ultimate goal for it with slight variations here and there. And to that, there's only Shin Matsunaga, that variation fight, Big Zom, and Anavel Gato. You could even argue that there's less than that and there's only Big Zom and Anavel Gato. But that's it. See you later, folks. Hope you'd enjoyed.